Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, so what? Game week 23. Alright then, let's see what happened this week. Right, let's go. Man United 1, West Ham 0.
This is the weekend that Manchester United finally catch David Moyes. Trust me, this is Man United win stamped all over its face. It has to be. It has to be. 1-0 Man United win. Trust me on that.
It's official. I am a genius. An utter genius. 1-0 stamped all over this game. Listen, brilliant win for Man United. You're now in contention to get top 4. But Edinson Cavani, yeah, he was about a horse's eyelash away from being offside. But lads, the goal was a move involving Cristiano Ronaldo, who passed it to Anthony Martial, who passed it to Edinson Cavani, who passed it to Marcus Rashford. It's like the five-a-side from hell. 4 players who over the course of their careers have cost a combined £355 million in transfer fees and who've scored a combined 1,455 goals. I'm sorry, that's weaponry. And you're pointing it into the face of West Ham. Chucking that 4-pronged super attack up against the likes of Kurt Zouma and Craig Dawson. Again, it's like sending the X-Men into a boxing ring with Bilbo the Hobbit. And yeah, that actually might be the nerdiest reference I've ever uttered. Right now, comic book nerds are frothing at their lips. But alright, calm down, stay with me lads, okay? Clean that mess off your pants. But yes, the Hammers were never going to be able to cope with the weight of that attack powering into them like a sexually repressed tidal wave. Honestly, you might as well have forced the goalkeeper to stare directly into the sun. Brilliant win for Man United, but in particular, well done Marcus Rashford. This man, he gets a lot of unfair stick. And what's his crime? For being slightly burnt out at 24? Lads, this man's been playing for club and country since he was 18 years of age. And not any club and country, England and Manchester United. The 2 most pressurizing jobs on the planet. What else? The man has also campaigned against the government. He's missed penalties in the final of an international competition. This man has squeezed so much into just 6 years of life. And don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he was overplaying him until he was an inch away from arthritis. He played 57 times for Man United last season. And chuck in the fact he had summer shoulder surgery after losing 2 major finals, which is like being dumped by 2 different women in the space of a month. What do you think that did for his self-esteem and confidence? You can sort of forgive him for spending the first half of this season looking a bit like a burnt out chicken nugget. Christ love, if you're moaning about him now, oh, you're going to be in for a shocking revelation when this guy turns 30 years of age. Because just like Wayne Rooney, his legs are probably going to feel like cinder blocks. And then yes, he'll probably go on a Danny Welbeck-esque career implosion, spending his early 30s on the books of Wigan or Hull. But until then, support the man. He's got a good 4, maybe 5 good years left. Don't take it for granted. Leicester 1, Brighton 1. Just play the clip.
Anyway, for this, I know what scoreline screams out at me. It's the 1-1 draw, right? I should be picking that. At tomorrow night's Leicester City. Reading from that Stephen Bergwijn double, the smart money says 1-1 draw in the battle of the former Swansea coaches, right? And I'll be furious if it is 1-1 because I'm gonna go for a 3-0 Leicester win. Something just tells me we're going to see a Fox's reaction. God, I hope it's not 1-1.
I can't believe this. I knew it. I knew it! In the back of my head, I knew this game would be 1-1. This is so predictable, it's actually turning into some sort of sick joke. In the 2.5 years that Graham Potter's had in charge, Brighton have drawn 1-1 22 times. 8 of them have been this season. 4 out of your last 5 games have ended a scoreline of 1-1. What's the point of watching? We already know what the result is going to be. And lads, if they hadn't scrapped FA Cup replays, it would also finish 1-1 at West Brom 2 weeks ago. 22 games of football, 1-1. What is this obsession with the scoreline? It's actually starting to freak me out now. If anything, I'd be more comfortable if we found out that he skins cats in his bedroom, or that he's got a collection of human skulls in his wardrobe, or that he's bought Frankie Boyle's bottled piss on eBay. But to me, there's just something so unsettling about a manager who seeks out the 1-1 draw every week, and not only that, achieves it 22 times in just 2.5 years. It's the hype though, the drooling media hype around this guy. Listen, I thought Chris Hamill from Football Daily was the internet's Potterhead. And yes, I realise that's a name given to the subculture of people who probably name their cat Hermione, think ginger schoolboys are sexy, and who probably write fan fiction about the size of Dumbledore's knob. It's a saying group of people who probably kiss the wall at King's Cross Station, pay £3,000 on eBay for Alan Rickman's wig, and who probably mail Tom Felton chunks of their own hair. But similarly, this Potter fan club in the Premier League is another worrying cult.
Because I am going to make the case that Graham Potter is not only massively underrated, but he's arguably the best manager in the Premier League.
What?
We need to be championing this guy and not forcing, but making people wake up to the fact that he's not a one.
This actually hurts my brain. Best in the league. What? The guy with 2 wins in September? And you know what? This season isn't even out of the norm. Last season, Brighton had to wait until January 31st to win their first home game of the season. I'm sorry, but if you have to wait until the spring to give the season ticket holders a win to watch, then no, you are not the best manager in the league.
The arrogance of British football clubs and the British media that if this guy was called Graham-io Potterio, you know, from managing Lecce, he'd be doing a great job. He'd be doing a great job, but he'd also be getting a great job in England.
I'm sorry, no. On the flip side, Potter is being tipped for the England job because he was born in Solihull. That's half the reason he got this hype stuffed down his throat. This man isn't even a better coach than Marco Silva, and he was chewed up like a snotty dish rag at both Watford and Everton. And if you don't believe me, if Graham Potter was in charge of Fulham, would they be scoring 6 goals every week? No! Yes, Brighton play pretty football, yes. But I'm sorry, this man has spent £150 million at Brighton, and the best he can stomach is 41 points 2 seasons in a row. Yes, it's a nice brand of football, but I'm sorry, if for Christmas you stick a chunk of dog poo in a nicely wrapped Swarovski box with roses and ribbons chucked on the top, it's still a dog poo in the box. 41 points. Am I supposed to be impressed by that? Steve Bruce can do that. That's a job on par with what Chris Hughton achieved. Potter at best is just another Eddie Howe.
And look, people say, well, he could just be another Eddie Howe. He's not another Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe wasn't playing this sort of football at Bournemouth.
And if you think that's an insult, no. He should snap his hand off for that comparison. Because Howe has survived around 5 or 6 years in this league. But again, do you want to see him lead England out of the World Cup? No, you'd sooner let Susan Boyle bite off your thumb.
But I think he's one of the most exciting managers, English managers we've had in years.
Potter is not even a more exciting coach than Alan Pardew. I mean, you want to see good football? Look up the Newcastle team from 10 years ago with a forward line of Demba Ba, Papi Cisse and Hatem Ben Arfa. And not only that, they finished 5th in the damn league. Ask Potter to qualify for Europe. Ask him to finish inside the top 6. And it'd be like asking a dog to make you a shepherd's pie. Yeah, he's more likely to take a piss on the floor.
You know, he could be another Bobby Robson. He's fantastic.
I'm done. I'm actually done. I can't listen to this anymore. No, Bobby Robson. Actual Bobby Robson. Comparing a flash in the pan flavour of a month to a footballing legend like Bobby Robson, it's like comparing One Direction to the Beatles. I mean, who's in the charts now? It's like saying KSI is the next Kanye West, that Joel Corry is the next Elton John, that JLS had the stage presence of Elvis Presley. No! I mean, can you imagine the hype if Michael Laudrup had been English? After his work at Swansea, where he actually won a trophy, the media would have demanded he be the next World Cup coach for England. But because he's Danish, he's since been banished to Qatar. Okay, let's revisit this in 5 years, when Potter is instead working for Wigan in the Championship. But listen, Goldbridge, I think I know your agenda. Graham Potter was born in Solihull, and look at that, the local women's team is sponsored by Mark Goldbridge. I mean, come on! Watford 2, Norwich 3. Alright, here's a little quiz. What do you think about when you think of Watford FC? I mean, do you instantly think of Ben Foster and Wood Troost-Ekong trying to create their own middle-aged answer to the sidemen? Do you think of a snarling beast like Troy Deeney chewing a baby giraffe apart with his bare teeth? Maybe you even envision Elton John feeding strawberries to Ian McKellen in the bath. Who knows? But to me, Watford are the embodiment of everything wrong with football ownership. Throwing managers into dustbins just because, what, they sneezed in your soup? The Pozzo family, they seem to think their football's answer to the Corleones. Just ruthless. Price them up. When they're served a stale croissant at Costa Coffee, do they suddenly demand the barrister to be whacked in the toilets? This Watford ownership have crippled the reputation of so many promising managers. Poor old Quique Sanchez Flores used to be football's flavour of the month. You know, the Spanish Graham Potter. But now, after 2 Watford sackings, he's about as attractive as Milhouse Van Housen. But boy, I have to contradict myself right now, because I hate the impatience of the Pozzo family, but Watford need to sack Claudio Ranieri, and they need to do it now. How is he still in a job? Does someone want to explain that one to me? I don't care that he's been friends with the Pozzos for 20 years. This modern day version of Ranieri is just a tactical egg sandwich. This man has been dining out on the Premier League title win for years. Can we just accept the fact now that Ranieri sadly is a washed up bowl of shreddies? A 3-0 loss to Norwich. Josh Sargent hadn't scored a single goal all season. Now he's nonchalantly flicking back heels into the top corner of your net. You essentially conceded 2 goals to Ron Weasley's cousin from Chicago. I don't care what anyone says, Ranieri inherited a battling team 11th in the league and single-handedly turned them into the worst team in the division.
Claudio Ranieri to be sacked by Watford, one successor identified, which could be next week.
Right, so the 3 favourites for the Watford job are Frank Lampard, Paulo Fonseca, and god of us all, Daniel Farke. I'm sorry, what? The guy with just 6 wins in nearly 50 games as a Premier League coach? I'm sorry, appointing a man with a 12.2% win record? That's the equivalent of giving the role of the next Batman to Jack Black. Someone who probably eats a lunchbox of Maltesers on the toilet. The key to Watford survival is staring at you in the face. And yet, he's not on the list. Christ above, Tony Mowbray and Mark Hughes are on the list, and yet Nuno Espirito Santo is not. Have we all just forgotten this man exists? Has he retired behind our back? Has he given up on football and instead concentrated on becoming a chef at Wagamama's? Is he now working as a taxi driver in Stoke? I mean, I don't get it. Apparently after his Tottenham failure, he's now just seen as damaged goods. I mean, I suppose it's a bit like if your wife serves you divorce papers after just 3 months of marriage. I mean, stick that fact on your Tinder bio and everyone will assume you're just an unbearable human toad who's clearly got the manners of R. Kelly and who just eats used toilet paper for lunch. But let's not forget, Santo is the only manager to taste victory over Manchester City in his own stadium this season. Give him the Watford job and give it to him now. Allow him to bring in the likes of Matt Doherty, Morgan Gibbs-White, Jack Wilshere, and yeah, I'll say it, Diego Costa, and trust me, he will add defensive reorganization and he will keep you in the league. But honestly, keeping Ranieri is the equivalent of choosing to eat spinach off a toilet seat in Magaluf. Yeah, have fun when your tongue turns black. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1. Right, so in the build up to this game, I was talking of Duncan Ferguson as being some sort of motivational guru, right? I even did the honour of calling him Fergie. Well, in reality, his tactical skills are probably closer to that middle-aged granny of the Black Eyed Peas than the former Manchester United legend, because that Everton showing in the first half was about as energetic as toothache. When Emi Buendia stuck Aston Villa 1-0 up with a header, where Jordan Pickford once again demonstrated to the world that he's got toothbrushes for arms, the Villa players then run off to the corner flag, and then this happens. Yes, I realise it looks like a scene out of Saving Private Ryan, but no, luckily there aren't any corpses on the pitch. It's just Matty Cash and Luca Digne being hit in the ear by objects thrown from the crowd. But let's see what Digne says then.
Amazing effort from the team, important 3 points. It's still a loving place for me. I wish all the best for the season, Everton.
Still a loving place for me. That makes about as much sense as if KSI had tweeted that on Boxing Day in 2018. No, still a loving place. No, this is a bit like trying to convince yourself that your ex-wife still loves you, even after you dumped her for her sister. Oh, okay then. Prove it then. Try and go around her house for Sunday brunch next week. You'll be lucky if she doesn't throw acid in your face. The Everton fans were literally bouncing Coke bottles off your forehead. I think it's fair to say they don't like you anymore. Leeds 0, Newcastle 1. This win for Newcastle was huge. John Joe Shelby fires in a 75th minute free kick, which Ilin Meslier should have gobbled up with his hands. Instead, his wrist turned into cauliflower as the ball somehow squirms into the back of the net. Listen, I know Meslier makes mistakes, but he's 21 years of age and playing week in, week out in the Premier League. I have faith in this boy. I mean, if this guy doesn't end up representing France at a World Cup, then honestly, I will get his face tattooed on my stomach. Can we please stop this narrative that Meslier is the French Claudio Bravo? That he's got the concentration of Winnie the Pooh and the natural talent of a doorknob? No, stop. Stop the witch hunt. The man is 2 years younger than Liverpool's starlet Quiveen Kelleher. And guess what? He's played over 100 games of football more than him. In comparison to Meslier, Kelleher is just some kid from Cork who looks like he's failed an audition for McFly. Why do you think most Premier League number ones are over 30 years of age? It's the position which requires the most maturity and concentration, and Meslier is playing week in, week out for a giant club like Leeds in the biggest and most watched league on the planet. And you're criticizing him? I'm sorry. It's like going back to 1990 and picking on the acting skills of Macaulay Culkin, or saying that a teenage Daniel Radcliffe had the acting range of a stuffed broccoli. I'm sorry, they are children. So similarly, leave Meslier alone. Southampton 1, Man City 1. So apparently the Premier League title race is back on, right? We live in a world where Southampton, the club who lose 9-0 every year, have just gone through an entire season unbeaten against Man City. Listen, it's always weird to see Kyle Walker face Kyle Walker-Peters on a football pitch. And the fact that they're both ex-Tottenham right backs, it actually makes my head hurt. It's like some Sunday afternoon episode of The Twilight Zone. So fittingly, one of them bangs in a worldly screamer. I mean, the adventurous technique shown to execute that goal. Considering the man spent the first half of the season playing second fiddle to an 18-year-old boy from Chelsea, you could forgive him for now having the confidence of a chewed up slice of toast. After all the teenage hype he'd received in the media at Spurs, to now being replaced by a little boy from Stamford Bridge. You could forgive poor old Kyle for moping about. You know, like one of those X Factor winners whose records aren't selling and are now having to clean tables in Nando's. Walker-Peters was this close to being 2022's answer to Leona Lewis. Chelsea 2, Tottenham 0. Yeah, so I thought, foolishly assumed that Antonio Conte would work some Tottenham magic and actually win a game against Chelsea. Instead, Spurs have now failed to score in the last 6 matches against them. I'm sorry, what? And to me, seeing Thomas Tuchel line up in the dugout against Antonio Conte, it still feels like both men have their clubs mixed up. Because Tuchel is a former Borussia Dortmund coach who is reading from the sack at PSG. That man's next job at Tottenham stamped all over it, while Conte is a serial winner and a Chelsea legend. So to me, This feels wrong. I remember when Jose Mourinho travelled to the ground as Chelsea's ex. He was spanked 4-0 with Conte leaping about like a hyperactive child who just eaten a birthday cake filled to the brim with blue Smarties. In that moment, Conte looked like the new man, with Mourinho being the scorned ex. And not in the DT way, good Christ. But now, almost overnight, suddenly it's Conte who has to turn up at Stamford Bridge, watching his team show the fight of a constipated mouse. To me, it is sad to see a superstar like Conte picking 4 full-backs for a game like this. Come on, lining up with Matt Doherty and Ryan Sessegnon on the wings. It's like getting into a taxi and choosing to wear 3 seatbelts and an underwater life jacket, you know, in case the driver flies off a bridge. I'm sorry, but unless you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger behind the wheel, I think you'll be okay. It's all just a bit unnecessary. Anyway, 2-0 Chelsea win, a wonder goal from Hakim Ziyech, someone who clearly looks allergic to actually celebrating a goddamn goal. Honestly, these days, whenever he sticks the ball in the net, he reacts to it as if he's just been asked by a policeman to pick up his dog's poo with his teeth. Crystal Palace 1, Liverpool 3. Okay, so professional performance from Liverpool. A 3-1 win at Crystal Palace, still in the title race. Great. 2 things stood out for me. Michael Olise. This former Reading playmaker, someone who's released by both Chelsea and Man City, so comfortable on the ball, the silky skills, the dribbling. This boy is going to be a star. The fact he was bought from Reading for just £8 million, that's half of a Ross Barkley. The other talking point, apparently Diogo Jota jumping into the goalkeeper's face. Apparently that's now a penalty? Christ, what's happened to the sport? Arsenal 0, Burnley 0. Nothing game. Another damn squib of a football match. Christ, imagine being an Arsenal season ticket holder and paying to see this. Honestly, paying to watch this. If I was an Arsenal fan inside that ground, I'd rather spend my Sunday afternoon doing anything else. But honestly, failing to be bottom of the league Burnley, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. What? Brentford 1, Wolves 2.
Brentford have been surprisingly toothless this season. Ivan Toney targeted the golden boot, don't forget. He's got 5 goals. Brentford as a team have only scored 9 goals in the last 10 matches. So honestly, lads, for every goal that Brentford managed to score this weekend, I promised that I would eat a sandwich smeared in cat food. Honestly, lads, Brentford 0, and I can't stress the 0 hard enough. Brentford 0, Wolves 3.
Right, here we got some cat food. This looks disgusting.
Thanks, Ivan Toney. Anyway, that's it. What do you think? Right, let me know. What do you think about your team's performance this weekend? Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.